On our wedding night, I stumbled upon my husband meeting secretly with his beloved. Hearing their plan to sacrifice me in her place, I said nothing. Only after I feigned death to escape did he, in a rage, end his moonlight love himself. I heard he vowed never to marry, waiting for my return. But what does that have to do with me? When Lin Shuan urged me to flee for the third time, I was still ill. She dismissed all the maidservants, personally bringing me medicinal broth and spoon-feeding me, whispering softly, "Darling, I told you Zhou Huai was scum, a sick pervert. Do you believe me now? In my past life, I never quite believed it. Not even when I discovered that portrait in his study, identical to me. Not even when I witnessed him setting up 2 enormous steamers in the courtyard and steaming alive the maid who'd urged me to go to his study. Because he said, this is merely a scheme by others to sow discord. So I believed him, convinced he loved me as deeply as the rumors claimed. That's why he defied all objections to marry me, a peasant girl, as his principal consort. Until later, when I saw him holding consort Xian, who looked exactly like me, close and coaxing her. Yuner, Qing Di is but a peasant girl. How could she compare to you? Wait a little longer. I'll soon be able to take you out of the palace. Back then, I wanted to run away. But after several attempts, I never succeeded. I was even drugged with wine, brought into the palace, and became consort Xian, granted the honor of being buried alive with the emperor. I'd already died once, how could I not believe it? Watching Lin Shuan frown and mutter complaints about Zhou Huai, I smiled softly. Yes, I believe it. She froze, clearly surprised, her eyes widening as she asked, "Really?" Seeing me nod, she sprang to her feet, her eyes brimming with hope as she proposed for the third time. Then I'll help you escape." But before her words had fully faded, Zhou Huai's icy voice cut through the air from the doorway. Escape? Escape where? Zhou Huai had never liked me getting too close to anyone, especially Lin Shuan, because Lin Shuan was the legitimate daughter of the Marquis of Qingyang, a princess personally bestowed by the late emperor. The Marquis of Qingyang controlled half of the Great Qi's military power. He was the only person Zhou Huai feared besides the emperor, and someone he couldn't touch for the time being. In my previous life, I didn't understand. I thought he merely feared the Marquis of Qingyang's household. Later, I realized he was simply afraid that if I grew too close to someone, it might one day be discovered that I was an imposter, a cat in a cat's skin. He didn't want me to get too close to anyone. Yet Lin Shuan insisted on drawing near. At our first meeting, she tricked me into calling her sister. Her overtures felt utterly baffling. Whenever I asked why, she'd only sigh and answer earnestly, "What can I do? My own flesh and blood, I have to cherish her." She always spoke in riddles I couldn't decipher, and her temperament bore no resemblance to a pampered noblewoman. Instead, she resembled a martial heroine from a storybook. To defend me, she often lashed out at Zhou Huai with harsh words. Even now, the moment she saw him, she seemed to have swallowed firecrackers, flipping him the bird. "I just can't stand disgusting scum like you." Her actions baffled me, but her words were crystal clear. Watching Zhou Huai's face darken, I felt both touched and amused. I pinched my palm hard to stifle a laugh before stepping in to smooth things over. The princess merely noticed how exhausted I looked. She heard the scenery along the Huai River has been splendid lately and simply wanted to take me there for some peace and quiet. Having been choked on so many times, Zhou Huai seemed to have grown accustomed to it. He narrowed his eyes slightly, shifting his gaze from Lin Shuan to me, and asked softly, "Is that so?" In his presence, Lin Shuan naturally wouldn't mention taking me away. She rolled her eyes at Zhou Huai, her tone sharp. "Did you ever care whether it was true or not?" Of course he didn't care. The emperor lay gravely ill, with little time left to live. And the emperor's only 2-year-old heir naturally became the choice for crown prince. Since ancient times, to prevent the mother's clan from wielding power and the harem from interfering in state affairs. After the emperor's death, consort Song Yun, the birth mother of the heir apparent, would undoubtedly be ordered by imperial decree to be buried alive with him. But how could Zhou Huai possibly agree to that? He was currently plotting how to swap the prince for a cat, bringing me into the palace instead. The memory of my previous life, sealed in a coffin and sent to the imperial mausoleum, still burns. When Lin Shuan rushed into the funeral procession to save me, he, now the regent prince, coldly declared, Princess Qingyang has trespassed upon the imperial tomb. This is the gravest offense. He ordered her dragged away and her legs broken. Hatred surged within me, hiding the emotion in my eyes. I slowly curved my lips into a smile. Yes. It's settled. On the 3rd day of the 3rd month, we'll enjoy spring by the Huai River. Your Highness, would you care to join us? Of course. He couldn't possibly go, because every year on the 3rd day of the 3rd month, it was the day he secretly met with consort Xian. On the 3rd day of the 3rd month, Lin Shuan came to fetch me early. She had even taken my suggestion, inviting 3 or 4 noble ladies and changing the spring outing location to the peach grove behind Zhaoyun Temple. Zhaoyun Temple lay far from Jinling City, rarely visited by worshippers. Few knew the dense peach grove hidden beyond its rear hills. The road was long to begin with, and once we reached the mountain's base, carriages and horses could go no further. We had to dismount and walk up. Most of these noble ladies had been pampered in their mansions. After walking for a while, some began to murmur complaints, but the rare sight of peach blossoms blanketing the mountainside soon silenced their grumbling. Soon they were laughing and playing again. Only Lin Shuan lagged behind, pulling me aside to whisper urgently, "Bao, we can still leave now. If we wait any longer, it'll be too late." This wasn't the first time she'd urged me to flee. In my past life, I'd been so bewitched by Zhou Huai that I'd squandered chance after chance to escape. This time around, I wouldn't be so foolish. But to flee so easily would simply let them off the hook. Gazing at the incense-shrouded Zhaoyun Temple in the distance, I slowly curved my lips. Wait a little longer. The time isn't right yet. Lin Shuan tried to persuade me further, but was interrupted by a voice. The daughter of the Vice Minister of Revenue leaned in with a suggestion. I hear Zhaoyun Temple is quite effective for seeking marital fortune. Why don't we draw some fortune sticks? All present today, save for me, were unmarried young ladies. At her words, the others chimed in enthusiastically. Lin Shuan wasn't keen on going, but she couldn't refuse the group's request. She could only nod in agreement. All right. All right. Let's go. Let's go. The noble ladies immediately surrounded Lin Shuan, chattering and laughing as they escorted her toward Zhaoyun Temple, vowing to pray for a fine husband for her. Yet before they reached the temple, several black-robed guards came into view from afar. Curiosity stirred among them. Who'd expect others in such a remote place? Wonder which noble family's young master or lady they are? Only Lin Shuan frowned slightly. Aren't those Zhou Huai's trusted men? Lin Shuan had never liked Zhou Huai. Seeing the guards spot them, her expression sharpened. As she hurriedly turned toward the depths of the peach grove, she furrowed her brow, grabbed my shoulder, and began shaking me. No way. Sweetie. You actually invited that jerk Zhou Huai? Snap out of it. You can't be this love-struck. I didn't know what love-struck meant. But this time, she was truly wronging me. His Royal Highness the Prince of Yun said he had important business today and couldn't possibly come. Maybe you mistook someone else? The other girls chimed in. Yeah. Maybe you mistook him? I heard His Royal Highness Prince Yun never burns incense or worships Buddha. But the more they insisted, the more firmly she shook her head. Impossible. That confidant is always by Zhou Huai's side. I couldn't possibly have mistaken him. Then, as if suddenly remembering something, her expression changed. She grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the guards. Since we've run into him, let's go say hello. She called it a greeting, but her expression didn't suggest she intended to greet anyone. The noble ladies exchanged glances, then scrambled to pull her back. If His Royal Highness Prince Yun truly has distinguished guests, wouldn't it be rude to approach so abruptly? Yes. Let's not. But who could restrain Lin Shuan's temper? Not only did they fail to dissuade her, they were swept along as she led them forward. Only upon drawing near did they notice a pavilion there, leaning against the mountain rock. It was enclosed on all sides by bamboo mats serving as curtains. And there sat Zhou Huai, sipping tea from a cup with meticulous care. Spotting the approaching figures, he lifted his head, his brow slightly furrowed. His gaze swept around before settling on me. Aren't you supposed to be touring the Huai River? What brings you here? Before I could explain, Lin Shuan pointed at the empty teacup on the stone table and piped up first. Oh, Mr. Busy Bee. Didn't you say you had urgent business? What's this? What's your friend hiding from? Is he ashamed to be seen? With that, she tilted her chin toward the faint glimpse of apricot-colored skirt peeking from behind the curtain. So you're having a secret rendezvous with your lover? No wonder you're hiding. As Lin Shuan finished speaking, everyone followed her gesture to look in that direction. Sure enough, they saw a skirt hem dart swiftly back behind the curtain. For a moment, all that could be heard was a collective gasp. The world said Prince Yun, Zhou Huai, was madly in love with a peasant girl. That was why he defied the emperor's opposition and the minister's criticism, bringing me into his mansion and marrying me as his principal consort. His profound devotion had long been celebrated as a beautiful tale in the streets, envied by the noble young ladies of Jinling City. Yet now, they had witnessed with their own eyes the Prince Yun of that tale meeting secretly with someone on the back mountain of Zhaoyun Temple. How could such a secret not shock them? Sure enough, the crowd looked from Zhou Huai to me. Under their shifting gazes, Zhou Huai's expression gradually darkened. Watching his eyes grow colder and colder, my heart pounded wildly in my chest, and a secret thrill stirred within me. Zhou Huai's voice was icy. I was unaware. Princess Qingyang, when did your hand extend into the affairs of the Prince Yun's mansion? Lin Shuan's words were equally blunt. What business is the mess in your younger prince's mansion to me? I simply can't stand watching you, with your white moonlight already dwelling in your heart, still insisting on playing the role of the deeply devoted lover, dragging innocent people into the fire pit. Honestly, if you don't feel ashamed, I find it disgusting. This was the first time she had ever confronted Zhou Huai so directly in front of so many people, sparing him no courtesy whatsoever. Zhou Huai's expression darkened instantly as he slammed his teacup onto the stone table. Even the guards flanking him drew their swords in a show of force. Lin Shuan, don't presume your position as the Marquis of Qingyang grants you immunity to defy the imperial family's authority. That power was bestowed by the throne, and the throne can certainly reclaim it. The noble ladies, unaccustomed to such a scene, rushed forward to whisper their advice. Princess, this matter has nothing to do with you. Don't needlessly invite trouble. Indeed, this affair was unrelated to her. Having achieved half my goal, I was unwilling to expose her to further danger. I stepped forward and gently tugged at her sleeve. Lin Shuan had a straightforward temperament, she couldn't hide her feelings. Seeing me stop her, she seemed to think I was about to speak for Zhou Huai again, her face filled with disappointment. But I ignored her, instead composing myself. I stepped forward, eyes brimming with tears, feigning hurt. Your Highness, I am not a petty person. If you have no place for me in your heart, I would gladly step aside. But why did you deceive me, saying I was the only one in your heart? Come to think of it, I should thank his white moonlight. Song Yoon. In my past life, when I was poisoned into silence and sealed in a coffin with no escape, she deliberately dismissed everyone inside to me. River Yen truly has a thoughtful heart. Finding someone so remarkably similar to me. Her nails scraped against the coffin's wood as her tone turned flippant. That's just how he is. Even if he doesn't want something himself, he'll never let others covet it. The more unattainable it is, the more he desires it. You can love him, admire him, throw little tantrums at him, but you must never defy him. What are you running from? And letting a man help you? Come to think of it, I should thank you. Had you not fled, he might never have made up his mind. After all, your temperament now mirrors mine in my youth. Had you shown weakness as I once did, it might well be me lying here instead. By then, she must have held all the cards. Never imagined I'd need that advice one day. But she was absolutely right. What's it to pretend to be weak? Play the victim? Feign deep affection? Now, I've learned it too. As I expected. Under normal circumstances, Zhou Huai would have rushed over without a second thought to continue deceiving me, just to avoid arousing my suspicions. But with Song Yin hiding behind the curtain now, he had to weigh his words carefully, how to respond that would both placate me and prevent Song Yin from misunderstanding. But I didn't truly need his answer. What I wanted was just this moment of hesitation from him. I understood. Before he could speak, I spoke first. I dug my nails into my palms, forcing myself to look aggrieved. Since your highness has set your heart on another, I am willing to step aside. I beg your highness to grant me a divorce decree. Zhou Huai's expression turned icy. Do you realize what you're saying? I nodded. I do. But I'm not so deluded as to cling when you no longer care for me. With that, I turned and walked away, heedless of the expressions on the faces around me. Only when I was far enough away, certain Zhou Huai wouldn't pursue, did I wipe away my tears and exhale a heavy breath. Of course he wouldn't pursue me. Right now, he'd likely be waiting for the crowd to disperse, explaining things to Song Yun and plotting how to deceive me once more. Only a few noble ladies trailing behind murmured among themselves. Didn't the rumors say His Royal Highness Prince Yun fell head over heels for you at the Lantern Festival? So it was all a lie. And here I was marveling that even the imperial family could produce a true romantic. Hey, you know, who was that girl hiding back there just now? Whoever she is. Don't you know? I've heard some gossip. Apparently Prince Yun used quite a few tricks to marry his consort. Though their voices weren't loud, I heard every word clearly, and couldn't help but slowly curve my lips into a smile. Lin Shuan, however, seemed unable to bear listening any longer, her face brimming with impatience. Everyone's right here, why can't you ask directly? Must you gossip behind people's backs? These noble ladies, who were usually close to her, knew her temper. Not only did they not get angry, they actually gathered around and asked earnestly, Princess Yun, were you truly unwilling to marry Prince Yun back then? Of course I didn't marry Zhou Huai willingly. Because back then, my mother drugged me and sent me to Zhou Huai's bed. My father was notorious in the county as a good-for-nothing. He was a gambler with no real skills, relying on money he donated years ago to hold a menial job tending horses at the county office. The magistrate's horses were prized steeds, each worth nearly as much as my family's food for several years. Naturally, he dared not neglect his duties. But this year, after the Lantern Festival, he must have been egged on by someone. He secretly rode one of those horses out to show off, only to run someone over and kill them. Killing someone meant he had to pay with his life. Yet, the very next day after he was thrown into jail, someone came to our house. That man was the magistrate of Chongping County. He said, if you wish to save your father, it's not that there's no way. A few days ago, the regent prince passed through Chongping and took a fancy to you. If you're willing to seek his favor, such a minor matter needn't trouble you. He added, the regent prince is heading to Lingnan on official business. He'll surely grow weary on the journey and need a confidant to serve tea and attend to his needs. If you serve him well, will wealth and honor be scarce in your future? Naturally, I refused. For my childhood sweetheart, brother Xiao Yun, and I had long made plans. After the New Year festivities, he was to come to my home to propose marriage. But I never saw that proposal. Instead, I received news that his entire family was relocating. That was merely the beginning. Later, no embroidery workshop would accept the handkerchiefs I stitched. My younger brother, whom we paid dearly to send to private tutoring, was brought home by his teacher, accused of theft and threatened with delivery to the authorities. As for my father, though reporting to the prefect should have taken at least a month for execution to be finalized, his sentence was passed in just 3 days. So my mother drugged me and sent me to Zhou Huai's bed. That night, though Zhou Huai did not touch me, I felt so humiliated and enraged that I tried to take my own life when no one was looking. But Zhou Huai saved me. He said, rest assured, Your Highness does not wish to wrong you. I will marry you. He even announced it to the world, marrying me in a grand 8-man palanquin. He summoned Jinling's finest tutor to teach me literature and calligraphy. He had palace matrons instruct me in courtly etiquette, fearing my accent might invite ridicule. He even sought out a teacher to instruct me in Jinling dialect. Back then, I believed he did all this merely to silence gossip. Until I saw that portrait in his study, a likeness of me, identical in every way. That day, my attendant told me Prince Zhou Huai suddenly craved the pear blossom pastries I made and encouraged me to deliver them to his study. It was my first time entering his study. But when I arrived, he was nowhere to be found. The study was a restricted area of the prince's residence, and I dared not enter without permission. Even without stepping inside, I caught sight of the portrait hanging on the wall from the doorway. The maid remarked, "The prince truly adores you. He even had your portrait painted and hung it here." The woman in the painting did bear a striking resemblance to me. Yet she wore court attire, with exquisitely detailed floral hair ornaments adorning her forehead, a style I had never worn. My keen eyes spotted the small inscription beneath the portrait. Song Yun, Portrait of River Tranquility. River Tranquility was Zhou Huai's courtesy name, and Song Yun was the maiden name of Consort Xian. Among the emperor's many consorts, she was the only one to bear him a prince. That was the first time I witnessed Zhou Huai's anger. He had the maid who urged me to the study and the servant who swept the study placed in a steamer basket and steamed to death. He said, with the emperor gravely ill and the court in turmoil, "Those seeking to pin my misdeeds upon me are everywhere. Even within the mansion, it's easy for such individuals to infiltrate, scheming to exploit my weaknesses. Believe me, my feelings for you have nothing to do with anyone else." He even burned that painting right before my eyes. In my past life, though I remained doubtful, I still believed his sweet talk and the fleeting tenderness in his eyes. It wasn't until I overheard his conversation with the magistrate of Chongping that I finally understood he orchestrated everything. He framed my father for murder, made my mother poison me, ordered the embroidery workshop to cease all business with me, and even forced Brother Xiaoyun's entire family to relocate. He brought me into his mansion, had me taught in poetry, literature, and etiquette, and even married me with the honors of a principal consort, all to create the illusion of his deep, bone-deep affection for me. He went to such lengths just to swap my identity with hers when the emperor died and Song Yun was buried alive, so no one would suspect a thing. The memory of my previous life floods back, sealed alive in the imperial tomb, with no one to turn to, starving to death in utter despair. I cannot suppress the hatred welling within me. Yet now, facing the curious gazes of the noble ladies, I lower my eyes, concealing my emotions, feigning sorrow. The prince swore he would never betray me in this life. I believed him then. Lin Shuan was likely angry with me, knowing full well Zhou Huai's misconduct. I still spoke in his defense. She remained silent all the way back to the city, watching her stubbornly turn her head away from me, her face puffed up with indignation. I finally couldn't hold back. I softly called out to her. Sister. This was the first time in 2 lifetimes that I had called her sister. Before, I never quite understood why she was so insistent on this title. But as the words left my lips, a sudden warmth surged in my chest. Lin Shuan paused, still pouting, but at least she acknowledged me. What? My throat tightened. I'm sorry. She was the only person in both my lifetimes who truly cared for me, who genuinely wanted to protect me. I didn't want to deceive her. Today I used you. I deliberately had you arrange meetings with those noble ladies. And I deliberately suggested changing our outing to the back mountain of Zhaoyun Temple. Though her thoughts were simple, she wasn't foolish. I only mentioned it once, and she instantly understood. You also knew Zhou Huai was meeting that woman there today? Her use of also surprised me slightly. Yet I nodded. Speaking slowly, I died once. In my past life, Zhou Huai sent me to the palace to be sacrificed alive for Consort Xian. I'd assumed she wouldn't believe such supernatural nonsense. But the moment those words left my lips, she stiffened, her voice rising sharply. What did you say? You died once? Could it be? You've been reborn? Caught off guard, I took a long moment before nodding blankly. Yes. I paused before adding. I know you're angry that I didn't heed your warning and fled. But escaping wasn't easy. Escaping truly isn't easy. Because I've escaped before. In my previous life. Shortly after my wedding to Zhou Huai, I overheard a conversation between him and the magistrate of Chongping in his courtyard. The magistrate said, the entire Qing family is quite manageable. I've delivered the people as you instructed. May I ask, when can we expect progress on my maternal uncle's case? Zhou Huai's voice was low. He gave an almost inaudible hum, replying softly, understood. Send someone to the Supreme Court. He said nothing more. Yet in that instant, I grasped the entire situation. So I fled. My first escape didn't go smoothly. Panicked, I completely forgot to seek Lin Shuan's help. Not long after leaving Jinling City, the prince's guards caught up with me and brought me back to the mansion, where I was kept under strict surveillance thereafter. My second escape came days before the emperor's passing, when Zhou Huai was wholly preoccupied with palace affairs. I slipped away amidst the chaos. That time, fearing I might endanger Lin Shuan, I dared not seek her help. I also avoided the main roads, stumbling along for many days, even having my money stolen. It wasn't until I met a kind-hearted escort who happened to be traveling that way and kindly escorted me the rest of the journey that I finally made it home. I had thought my parents would be overjoyed to see me. But unexpectedly, before my father could even speak, he slapped me across the face. He cursed me. Why did you come back? To destroy our entire family? Our entire family didn't include me. He even urged me, being favored by the regent prince is your good fortune. Hurry back and apologize. Win him over, and I'll secure a minor official post for your younger brother. That would make all these years of raising you worthwhile. Then he had me bound and sent back into Zhou Huai's hands. That day, the body of the escort leader lay discarded on the ground. Zhou Huai sat in his carriage, propping his head up with his hand. Finished playing? He asked me. Aren't you coming over? He treated human life as worthless chaff. His tone utterly unruffled, as if he were merely saying, finished playing? If you're done, hurry back. My agonizing escape, my desperate flight, it all felt like a farce. Then, back in Jinling, I was drugged with a cup of medicated wine and sent straight to the palace. I couldn't recount these events to Lin Shuan in detail. I only offered her a bitter smile. Waiting to die was too painful. I wanted them to taste that agony too. She must have understood what I meant. What I couldn't fathom was why she wept and apologized to me. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. When none of this had anything to do with her. She offered no further explanation. Only asked me with reddened eyes, what do you intend to do next? Recalling how Zhou Huai and Song Yin had exploited me in my past life, even living comfortably under my name and identity after my death. Hatred surged within me. I didn't hide my thoughts. Admitting frankly, we could storm in today and expose their affair. That's certainly an option. But even if we did that, they have dozens of ways to silence us. I won't let him sweep this under the rug so easily. Zhou Huai covets the regency, aiming to seize power by crowning the young emperor. Song Yin clings to my identity to survive. I will shatter both their ambitions. Lin Shuan gripped my hand tightly. After a long moment, as if gathering resolve, she spoke with solemn earnestness. All right. I'll help you. True to her word. That very afternoon she joined the noble ladies at the tavern, steering the conversation toward the trip to Zhaoyun Temple. As expected, the rumor that Prince Yan Zhouhuai had been caught meeting secretly with someone by his consort spread like wildfire throughout Jinling that very afternoon. He came to my courtyard. I had already packed my belongings. He must have come to confront me about why I'd suddenly gone to the back mountain of Zhaoyun Temple. But unexpectedly, upon entering the courtyard, he saw the bundle I'd placed on the table. What are you doing? He asked, frowning. I curtsied before him, forcing back the tears welling in my eyes before speaking. That day, when Xiao Tao led me to the study, she told me that you and Consort Xian were childhood sweethearts. You were already betrothed back then. But the emperor intervened and snatched her away with an imperial decree, summoning her into the palace. She said you married me only because I bear some resemblance to Consort Xian, and that I should not cling to such foolish hopes. I lifted my head to meet his stunned, astonished gaze, letting tears slowly fall before collapsing to my knees with a thud. The one today was Consort Xian, was she not? I refuse to be anyone's substitute. I beg your highness to release me. Head bowed. I couldn't see Zhou Huai's expression, only hearing his dark voice. Did Xiao Tao truly tell you this? I sobbed in response, yes. Yet my thoughts raced. How could that be? That maid, who envied me and urged me to sin, would never tell me such things. But what did it matter? She was dead, leaving no proof. If Zhou Huai wanted to investigate, he'd have to confront Song Yun. But Song Yun lived deep within the palace. How could he possibly arrange a meeting, having lived through the previous life? I knew well of his bond with Song Yun, yet I also knew their trust was not unbreakable, especially for Zhou Huai, who valued power above all. Sure enough, as he helped me up, his tone already carried a hint of impatience. I explained this to you last time. This is the work of someone sowing discord. Spreading such words is a capital offense. Do not mention it again. Seeing me seemingly appeased, he sighed softly. Today, it was merely a friend of mine. She rarely appears in public, which led to your misunderstanding. Another day, I will personally invite her to your residence to explain. Will you trust me? His words seemed heartfelt, yet upon closer listening, they were riddled with inconsistencies. I lowered my head, hiding the emotions churning within. He was right, someone had indeed been sowing discord. But that someone wasn't anyone else. It was me. Of course. I didn't believe a few words could undo their years-long bond. But what did it matter? Everything was only just beginning. After that day, he didn't confront Song Yun. Instead, to keep me in check, he sent box after box of gold and silver jewelry to my courtyard. I refused them all, sending every piece back. though I never again mentioned divorce. Whenever he came to my courtyard, I avoided him. Even when we met, I was cold and distant, no longer the docile, obedient girl I once was. I treated him with polite detachment, yet greeted others with smiles, especially the guard stationed at my courtyard gate by his orders. That guard, surnamed Xiao, I had seen many times, a trusted confidant of Zhou Huai. In my past life, when Zhou Huai sought to send me to the palace to replace Song Yun, it was he who delivered that flask of drugged wine. It was also him who handed Song Yun the gagging potion, pinched my jaw, and forced the pill down my throat. And it was him who, as I struggled to crawl out of the coffin, stabbed my hand with a sword and personally slammed the coffin lid shut. Since I'm settling scores, I certainly won't overlook him. Now, I deliberately inquire about that guard's whereabouts time and again. In company, I deliberately glanced toward the courtyard gate. I even secretly sent him a pouch embroidered by my own hand. Unsurprisingly, word reached Zhou Huai soon enough. Within days, that guard was transferred. He must appease me now, so he won't harm me. But that guard wasn't so fortunate. I heard he was stripped of his duties by Zhou Huai, bound to a horse, and dragged for 10 miles. Within days, this news spread throughout all of Jinling. The new maid who brought me this tidbit wore an expression of envy. The prince truly adores the princess consort, she said. Rumors are flying that if any man so much as glances at you, our prince will pluck out his eyes. I smiled without comment. Deep down, however, I hoped these rumors would spread as widely as possible, preferably reaching the palace itself. This tactic proved effective. On the third day of the rumor's peak, Lin Shuan delivered news. Consort Xian's mother lay gravely ill, and the consort had petitioned to leave the palace for her bedside. The day Song Yun departed for the visit, Zhou Huai claimed illness and shut himself indoors. In truth, he had already slipped out in disguise. That day, no one knew what they discussed in private, nor when he returned. Only the next day, when he came to my courtyard, his complexion looked rather poor. This time, I didn't continue giving him the cold shoulder. Instead, I asked in a rare soft tone, "Your Highness, is something troubling you?" Having seen nothing but sour expressions from me for many days, he seemed momentarily taken aback by my sudden change in attitude. After a long moment, he raised an eyebrow slightly, his surprise evident. "Nothing. But you. Why are you being so obedient today?" I curved my lips slowly, lowering my gaze. "I've come to terms with it. Since I've already married you, even if we divorce, there's no place in this world for me to go." Fearing he might see the pain I was hiding, I took 2 steps toward him and nestled into his embrace. My expression was cold, but my voice was sorrowful. "Your Highness, you are all I have." Prince Zhou Hua seemed to pause slightly. He made no move, nor did he speak. After a long while, he let out a soft sigh and forced a single word from his throat. "Very well." During my early days at the Prince of Yun's residence, Zhou Hua had me learn the arts of music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Back then, I didn't understand he was preparing to exchange me for Song Yun, so I studied as he requested. But I never mastered them well. Fearing his anger, I never played before him of my own accord. Yet these past few days, I deliberately brought out the qin while he was present. I even intentionally played a few wrong notes, asking him, "I don't know this part. Your Highness, would you be willing to teach me?" At first, he refused, but after teaching me once and seeing my progress, he grew surprisingly patient. He seemed to find it enjoyable, visiting my courtyard more often. When I played a complete piece under his guidance, he couldn't suppress a smile and praised me generously. "You've improved well. What reward would you like?" I turned with feigned surprise and beamed at him. Truly. Any reward I desire? From close proximity, I clearly saw his pupils contract slightly and even heard his breath catch. He shifted his gaze away, replying unnaturally, "Of course. Then take me to the summer hunting grounds, Your Highness. If we catch a live hare, I'd like one as my reward." He seemed taken aback by my request, pausing in surprise. "I've noticed you always wear this plum blossom hairpin. I assumed you'd ask for jewels, or silk robes and hair ornaments." I slowly let my smile fade and countered. "Wasn't it you who insisted I wear this plum blossom hairpin every single day?" The plum blossom hairpin was Song Yun's favorite design. Even the garments he once sent to my courtyard and the hairstyles the maids arranged for me were all chosen to please Song Yun. He seemed to recall that he had indeed given those orders himself, his expression momentarily blank. Seeing this, I deliberately adopted a dejected expression. "I've heard that Consort Xian adores plum blossoms. So it's true. You still see me as her shadow, don't you?" Only when he claimed to have urgent business and hurriedly departed did I finally suppress the smile tugging at my lips. It seems the time is nearly ripe. Perhaps feeling remorseful, he didn't visit my courtyard for several days. Not until the day of the summer hunt did he personally come to fetch me. The summer hunt served both as a respite from the heat and as a ritual where the emperor and his subjects jointly prayed for a bountiful harvest in the coming year. Each year at this time, the emperor would lead the imperial consorts and subjects to the hunting grounds on Wuji Mountain, outside Jinling City. This year, the emperor remained ill and unable to attend, so the responsibility fell to Zhou Huai. When he arrived, his brows were tightly furrowed, his expression agitated. Only when he lifted his gaze and saw me did his frown gradually ease. He spoke with a promise in his voice. "Tomorrow, this prince will definitely catch a live rabbit for you." I nodded with feigned excitement. "Thank you, Your Highness." He gave a soft hum and instructed me, "Make sure your veil stays in place." From his tone, I gathered Song Yun was also present. Sure enough, as soon as I stepped off the carriage, I spotted that apricot-colored figure in the distance, seated among the imperial consorts. Lin Shuwan was there too. Spotting me, she trotted over, heedless of Zhou Huai's darkening expression. Grabbing my hand, she pulled me away, insisting we go to the woods for fresh air. With so many people around, he couldn't make a scene, so he let her lead me off. Only when we reached a secluded spot, certain no one was near, did Lin Shuwan discreetly slip me a token and a small packet of powder, whispering to me, "I've spoken to my cousin. Tomorrow afternoon, you need only go." The cousin she referred to was the daughter of the eldest sister of the Marquis of Qingyang, the current empress. I had just nodded in agreement. "Understood." A woman's graceful voice echoed from behind. "Princess Consort Yun, might we speak privately?" I had anticipated that with Zhou Huai present, Song Yun would inevitably make an appearance. What I hadn't foreseen was her seeking me out first. As it happens, even if she hadn't sought me out today, I intended to visit her alone. At this thought, a faint smile touched my lips. I turned and curtsied in greeting. "Your Highness, Consort Xian." Though Song Yun had asked for permission, she left me no room to refuse. She ordered her maidservant to escort Lin Shuwan away. Only after both had departed did she let out a soft chuckle and begin walking toward me. "I must admit, I underestimated you." Her gaze settled on me, her tone light and dismissive. "Your schemes are no better than those of the palace maids. I'm truly curious, how did you manage to wrap River Yen around your little finger?" Seeing only a faint smile in response, the amusement on her face seemed to crack. Suddenly, she tore off my veil, her words laced with provocation. "Merely bearing a slight resemblance to me, and you presume you can replace me?" Her meaning was clear. This was a reminder, even if Zhou Huai felt affection for me, It was solely because of my similarity to her. In my previous life, before she even stepped forward, Zhou Huai had already resolved everything for him, eliminating all his concerns. It wasn't until my deathbed that I heard her utter those words. All along, I believed her to be the kind who orchestrated everything from behind the scenes, calculating every move. After all, in my previous life, it wasn't as if she showed Zhou Huai much love. Seeing her so flustered for the first time, I couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. Your Highness, Consort Xian. I lifted my gaze to meet hers, my lips curving into a slow smile. Were I you, I wouldn't have come to discuss Prince Yun with me. You seem to have forgotten, you are the Emperor's consort. The young prince's mother. Song Yun's understanding of me was limited to Zhou Huai's description, a docile, timid peasant girl, easily manipulated. She'd expected me to flare with jealousy and lose my composure. Clearly, she hadn't anticipated my calm delivery of these words. For a moment, her expression froze in surprise. It took her a while to recover, a flash of irritation darting through her eyes. Then, as if something occurred to her, she covered her mouth and chuckled softly. She seemed to want to say more, but I didn't want to hear it. Leaning close to her ear, I interrupted softly. You say I deceived Prince Yun, but aren't you doing the same? As the words fell, I saw her expression change. Only then did I curve my lips and turn to leave. It wasn't until I was out of the woods that I heard her voice. I'll be watching to see how long your laughter lasts. My smile deepened. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to say. In the end, I couldn't participate in the summer hunt, because I was poisoned. The poison wasn't fatal, but it caused a terrifying rash to break out all over my body. The imperial physician said it was called summer blossom poison, a common toxin used by the imperial consorts to vie for favor. It wasn't highly potent, but there was no antidote. I needed 10 days of rest to recover on my own. Even so, my eyes blurred with tears as I tugged at Zhou Huai's sleeve, asking weakly, "It hurts so much. Am I going to die?" His expression grew unusually grave as he whispered reassurance, "No. You won't. Didn't the imperial physician say it's not fatal?" But Lin Shuan shot back at him as always. Pfft. Just because he says it's not lethal doesn't make it so. He also said choking on food never kills anyone. Yet so many people choke to death. Zhou Huai was already impatient, and her retort made his brow furrow sharply. But he didn't lose his temper. Instead, he asked me softly, "Did you see anyone today? Did you eat anything else?" I shook my head just as Lin Shuan spoke up again. "How could you not? Didn't Consort Xian summon you for questioning?" "Consort Xian?" Zhou Huai's brow knitted. "What did she want with you?" I didn't answer, only bit my lip, my eyes misting over as I shook my head softly. Seeing a flicker of pain cross his face, I finally choked out softly, "Take me back to Jinling. I don't want the rabbit anymore." His eyes darkened slightly. Suddenly, a hand reached out, gently stroking the hair at my temple. After a long moment, as if resolving something, he said, "Very well." Since he had to remain at Xiaomiao to oversee matters and couldn't easily leave the hunting grounds, he only summoned a trusted aide to escort me back to the city. After returning to the prince's residence, I claimed illness and shut myself indoors. Only the next day, after instructing my maidservant that I needed rest and forbidding anyone to disturb me, did I change my clothes. Seizing a moment when the guards were lax during their shift change, I secretly scaled the wall of my courtyard and made my way toward the imperial palace. The poison administered to Xia Yanchun was not, of course, administered by Song Yun. Rather, it was administered by me, with Lin Shuan's assistance in procuring it from the palace, specifically to sow distress between Zhou Huai and Song Yun. This was done to create the opening I needed for this very day. In my previous life, the emperor passed away mere days after the Xiamiao festival. I must enter the palace before then, severing Zhou Huai and Song Yun's escape route. With the empress's token in hand, my path into the palace was unimpeded. She led me to the entrance of the emperor's bedchamber, specifically instructing, "Keep it brief." Only after I nodded did she usher me inside. The emperor's body was already at its last gasp. Before I could approach, I heard a heart-wrenching cough. In the chamber thick with the pungent scent of medicine, he lay on the bed. Hearing footsteps, he forced his eyes open, seeing it was the empress. His expression showed a hint of impatience. "What brings you here?" His gaze fell upon me, and the light in his eyes instantly brightened. "My beloved, why have you come here? This place is heavy with sickness. You should leave at once." I knelt with a thud, under the emperor's slightly startled gaze. I spoke slowly. "Your Majesty, I am not Consort Xian. I am Princess Qingdi, consort of Prince Yun." The emperor's tone grew abruptly stern. "Who do you claim to be?" I took a deep breath before presenting the portrait I had concealed all this time, holding it out with both hands. "I have come to the palace today to accuse Prince Yun, Zhou Huai, of harboring illicit feelings for a consort. On the 3rd day of the 3rd month, they met secretly behind Zhaoyun Temple. Zhou Huai is the emperor's own brother, born of the same mother. His calligraphy, the emperor would surely recognize it." His hand trembled as he gripped the portrait. His voice almost gritted with fury. "Deceiving the emperor is a capital offense. Have you considered this? What you say, is it true?" The emperor remained the emperor, even gravely ill. He could not conceal the aura of a sovereign. My body stiffened violently, almost beyond my control. Yet I still nodded, absolutely true. Though my answer was resolute. I knew that even common folk kept family scandals hidden, how much more so a disgrace that tarnished the imperial family's honor. If I guessed correctly, this matter would most likely be covered up and handled discreetly. True to my expectations. The moment my words fell, the emperor's weary voice echoed. "I understand. You may withdraw." The Empress Dowager attempted to intercede. "Your Majesty, on the 3rd day of the 3rd month, Consort Xian claimed illness. Yet this servant sent men to investigate, that day. She disguised herself as a palace maid and left the palace. But before she could finish, the emperor cut her off." "Enough. When did you learn these scheming tricks?" The Empress Dowager froze upon hearing this. Her eyes widened slightly, her complexion visibly paler. After a long moment, she bowed low and said dejectedly, "This servant understands." Only after leaving the emperor's bedchamber did she collapse as if drained of strength. Her smile bitter. Since Consort Xian entered the palace, the other ladies-in-waiting have become mere figures of formality. Look, even with evidence before him, he still favors her. I shook my head. "Your Majesty, please do not fret. Song Yun and Zhou Huai were betrothed in their youth. Yet after the young emperor caught sight of her, he forcibly brought her into the palace." The emperor's affection for Consort Xian runs deep, among the 3,000 in the harem. She alone holds his exclusive favor. These matters were no secret within Jinling City. Yet Zhou Huai, a prince, coveted the emperor's favored concubine and married a woman bearing a striking resemblance to her. Such scandalous secrets ignite like tinder, how could they be concealed? That very afternoon, miniature portraits of Song Yun and me spread throughout Jinling. Rumors began to circulate that Prince Yun, unable to win Consort Xian's love, had instead sought a peasant girl bearing an uncanny resemblance to her as a substitute. Amidst this, someone suddenly recalled the recent gossip among noble ladies at the tavern of Prince Yun's secret rendezvous on the back mountain of Zhaoyun Temple. Instantly, the identity of his secret lover was linked to Consort Xian. Then, as if on cue, News emerged from the Wuji Mountain hunting grounds. Princess Qingyang and several young ladies from the Ministry of Revenue's families had stumbled upon Prince Yun and Consort Xian meeting in secret one night. The city erupted the moment this news broke. By the time the rumors reached the palace, they were already raging throughout the capital. It was said the emperor, enraged, tore up an imperial edict and fainted from fury. The empress, even more furious, summoned Prince Yun and Consort Xian back to the palace that very night. By the time Zhou Huai emerged from the palace, a full day and night had passed. He didn't return to the prince's residence. He must have heard from servants that I was at the western city tower by the moat and came straight here. The setting sun bled crimson, and his eyes seemed to burn with the same fiery red. From a distance, I couldn't see clearly. Only when he drew near did I recognize the savage fury gathering in his gaze. He wasn't stupid. Once he saw that portrait in the palace, he'd know I'd sent it. But so what? The show had only just begun. Qing Di. For the first time, Zhou Huai called my name so distinctly. His voice almost gritted with fury. Come down. Let's discuss this at the mansion first. As he spoke, he reached out to pull me toward him. The tower's base was already swarming with onlookers. Naturally, he couldn't discuss such matters here. But I wouldn't let him have his way. Don't come any closer. I stepped onto the rampart's platform, drew a dagger to my throat, and forced tears to well in my eyes. Before he could speak, I declared, yes. I sent that portrait into the palace. Zhou Huai's breath caught. Why? He blurted. Why? I gave a wretched, deliberate smile. When you uttered those two words, did you ever consider why? You were the one who told me not to let others sow discord, to trust you. Yet you burned that portrait only to commission a new one, keeping it hidden in your study all this time. You knew she loved plum blossoms, so you gave me a plum blossom hairpin. She favored apricot hues, so you made me wear apricot-colored robes. Even her mastery of music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, you demanded I learn them all. After all these years of marriage, do you know what I love? My voice remained utterly flat as I spoke, my heart even sneering coldly. Yet I feigned utter despair, my voice thick with resignation. Right. Consort Xian was right. You never cared. After all, you schemed to have my father accused of murder, made my mother poison me, and brought me into your household only to use me as a bargaining chip when Consort Xian was sacrificed. My voice was loud, clear to the people below the city walls. The words sent shockwaves through the entire hall. The vein on Zhou Huai's forehead throbbed twice. He fixed me with a piercing stare, as if trying to see right through me. His voice dark and heavy. Was this what Consort Xian said? Naturally. Naturally not. But this secret was known only to him and Song Yun. He had no choice but to believe it. Even now, he still tried to distance himself. You must have fallen victim to some schemer's plot to sow discord. Come down first. We can talk things through. There must be some misunderstanding. He rubbed his temples and beckoned me. But how could I possibly go down? Returning with him would only confirm I'd been tricked into believing the slander, giving him an opening to clear his name. Only by proving my resolve through death could he truly believe my words. Only then could their secret affair be confirmed. Only then could he and Song Yun become enemies. I slowly shook my head at him. Since the ill-fated bond between us began with this face, let it also end with it. Saying this, heedless of his stunned expression, I seized the dagger and slashed my face with all my might before leaping into the moat. Of course, I had no intention of truly ending my life. A skilled swimmer, I held my breath the moment I hit the water and sank to the riverbed, letting the swift current carry me downstream. Lin Shuan had already arranged for fishing nets to be set and a carriage to wait. When I was pulled out, choking on water and shivering violently, She hurriedly wrapped me in blankets. Only when the carriage sped away did I finally breathe a sigh of relief. The thought of Zhou Huai's eyes bulging with fury as he shouted my name, desperate to jump in and save me, stirred a quiet satisfaction within me. I held it in for a while, but couldn't help but laugh out loud. Only then did the nerves that had been taut since my rebirth slowly begin to relax. It felt like a heavy burden had been lifted, leaving me with an immense sense of relief. Only Lin Xuan, holding my face, frowned deeply. Bao, you said you wanted to jump into the river, but you didn't say you'd disfigure yourself. I took her hand, shook my head at her with a smile, and reassured her. It's okay. It doesn't hurt. If I hadn't comforted her, it would have been fine. But the moment I did, her eyes gradually reddened. It's all my fault. If I hadn't written that cruel story, you wouldn't have suffered this. I never wanted this. I never imagined anyone would die because of me. She insisted everything stemmed from her actions. But I didn't dwell on it. I only urged her softly. Zhou Huai will soon discover I'm not dead. I don't want to drag you down. We should part ways. She refused. What does it matter? The Marquis of Qingyang holds military power and is a founding hero. What is there to fear? But you. She paused, her brow furrowing slightly. Just let them go? Let them go? I shook my head slowly, a faint smile touching my lips. Their suffering has only just begun. On the third day after Lin Xuan and I fled, the emperor passed away. Exactly as in my previous life. Down to the day. In my previous life. After the emperor's death, 2 imperial decrees were issued. One proclaimed the 2-year-old prince as emperor, appointing Prince Zhou Huai as regent to govern on behalf of the young sovereign until he reached 14 and assumed personal rule. The other granted consort Xian, Song Yun, the honor of sharing the imperial tomb, a testament to imperial grace. But this time, as he lay dying, the emperor tore up the decree appointing Zhou Huai as regent. Instead, he stripped Zhou Huai of his title, demoted him to commoner status, and banished him to his fief in Yongzhou, forbidding him to leave without imperial command. Even the new emperor was replaced by that old prince who had been traveling abroad for over 20 years. Only the decree granting consort Xian burial alongside the emperor remained unchanged. Rumors swirled throughout Jinling that the emperor had died, driven mad by the affair between his own brother and consort Xian. It was also said that Prince Yun remained deeply devoted to his deceased wife, declaring he loved only her in this lifetime. Unable to accept her death, he ordered a search along the moat. Yet, for reasons unknown, consort Xian, in the presence of the late emperor's coffin and the entire court, declared that the young prince was not the late emperor's biological son, but Zhou Huai's child. Perhaps to prove his innocence, Prince Yun drew his sword and, right there in the grand hall, stabbed consort Xian to death. When these news reached us, Lin Xuan and I were pausing in front of a tea house to enjoy the cool breeze. The caravan leader inside the tea house held a portrait, sighing repeatedly. So many witnessed the princess consort of Yun drowning that day. Her body must have been devoured by fish. Yet he refuses to believe it, insisting on searching for that princess. He even swears he'll never remarry if she isn't found. He waved the portrait, his words sounding utterly convincing. Look. Everyone leaving Jinling has one of these. A generous reward awaits whoever finds her. But that's not all, I hear after leaving Jinling. He didn't even go to Yongzhou. Instead, he followed the moat, searching inch by inch himself. He even put out word, begging Princess Yun to return if she heard of him. After saying this, he even sighed. Love, my dear, is a curse. Lin Xuan and I sat nearby as he spoke. I wasn't the least bit worried about being recognized. By some trick of hers, Lin Xuan applied her usual cosmetics haphazardly to my face, Like a magician, she transformed me into someone else. Now, even if I looked in the mirror, I might not recognize myself. She tossed down 2 copper coins and pulled me along. Only after we were in the carriage did she shake her head and sigh. Good heavens! He actually killed Consort Xian. It shocked my entire family. I, however, felt little surprise. Perhaps Zhou Huai cherished supreme power more than any beauty. Who could truly know? Her eyes widened, still filled with emotion. I wouldn't dare write such a thing myself. TSK. 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 Truly remarkable. This is indeed a real world. How could I ever capture even a tenth of such human nature in my writing? After her musings, she turned to counsel me. Sis, belated affection is worth less than weeds. That scumbag Zhou Huai killed even someone he supposedly loved for years. Who knows how much of his love was real? Listen to me, men, only slow down your sword drawing speed. Her words were hard to grasp, but the meaning hit home. Still, I didn't believe Zhou Huai harbored any deep affection. Perhaps a shred or two of friendship. Yet Song Yun, who shared years of camaraderie with him, still met his blade. What could a few short months of affection possibly amount to? I suspect he merely used me to salvage what little reputation remained. But what can be done? Even if his reputation were as pure as Mulu's breeze. Without the title of prince, without that imperial decree, his bid for power lacks both legitimacy and justification. Unless he rebels, he'll never reach that position in this lifetime. This thought brought me a strange sense of relief, and I found myself laughing aloud. Lin Shuan was still trying to persuade me. We agreed to go to Hainan to chase the tide and eat seafood. To see those handsome guys showing off their abs and chests, you can't back out now. Don't worry. This time I'll make sure to screen them properly and find you a model son of a beauty. And, watching Lin Shuan, who seemed terrified I'd change my mind, keep throwing out conditions to tempt me, a warm feeling spread through my chest. I couldn't bear to tease her anymore, so I nodded with a faint smile. All right. You decide. The end.